Hey everyone, thank you for joining our live stream. Let me tell you about what we will be covering today. First, I'll discuss some recent changes to our website that make it easier for you to find a job. Then I'll tell you about some employers who are urgently hiring right now. And I'll remind you how to find and apply to jobs on Indeed. Next, I'll provide an economic update before sharing some information on what to expect when returning to work. And finally, I'm going to wrap up with some of your questions and success stories from the past week. Before all that, a quick disclaimer. The information in this video is for informational purposes only. Indeed is not a career or legal advisor. So let's start by recapping some Indeed updates. First, we've made a few changes to our website to make finding a job during COVID-19 faster and easier. Now, employers who post a job on Indeed can specify whether that job is fully remote or remote temporarily due to COVID-19. If you're looking for a remote job, just put the word remote in the what or where box on the Indeed homepage. And if you're interested in remote careers but you're not sure where to start, check out indeed.com/career/work-from-home. I'll repeat that. Indeed.com/career/work-from-home. You can explore remote careers and salary ranges on this page. Alternatively, you may be looking for a new job as quickly as possible. Here are some features that can help you. First, Indeed has an urgently hiring tag. If an employer is looking to bring on new hires right away, they can add the urgently hiring icon to their job postings. If you want to find these jobs, keep an eye out for a red clock near the top of a job posting with the words urgently hiring next to it. Second, you can signal to employers that you are ready to work immediately in any position. If you'd like to do this, go to your Indeed resume by hitting the person icon on the top right corner of the page and selecting resume. You'll see the option to toggle on hashtag ready to work. This allows employers to easily find and contact you about job opportunities when they are looking for someone to start right away. If you're looking for a job in a different location, we'll be providing updates about virtual hiring events in the near future, so keep following and tuning in for more details. All right, let's talk about urgently hiring employers. First, I want to make sure you know about our Indeed Career Guide page that lists the companies that are urgently hiring. It gets updated weekly, and we'll link it below. Here are a couple of major national employers that recently posted jobs on Indeed. First, we have Sprouts Farmers Markets, which is urgently hiring for 1,200 roles in California, Colorado, Florida, Arizona, Texas, and more. Example positions there include in-store shopping clerk, cashier, department clerk, service manager, among others. We also have Kindred Healthcare, who is urgently hiring for 3,000 roles in California, Illinois, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Washington. Example positions there include registered nurse, licensed practical nurse, and certified nursing assistant. Their apply to hire process takes under 1 week, which means that from the time you apply, it will take less than a week to begin working, if it's a fit. And finally, we have Allstate Insurance, who is urgently hiring and holding virtual interviews for 1,200 roles in New York, Florida, Texas, California, and other states. Example positions there include insurance sales representative and customer service representative. For the full list, check out the link below in the comments section. All right, so let's move into job searching. If you decide you want to apply to a job on Indeed, here is a quick refresher on how. To start searching and applying to jobs, you can create or update your free Indeed profile. That will make it easier to apply for jobs quickly once you find roles that interest you, I should say. Next, you can browse jobs by location in the search bar. Once you've identified a potential employer, click the Apply button and follow the instructions from there. And here are a few tips. Make sure to tailor your application to the specific jobs you're applying for. Take a really close look at that job description. You might also want to research the company. You can go to their website, Indeed company pages, or recent articles in the news. And you might even talk to others who work there. And you can use that information to customize your application and think about how to best position yourself for the job. One more thing before we move on. While you're searching for a job online, it's important to stay alert. So look out for anyone who asks you to wire money, anyone or to provide passwords of any kind, or anyone who wants to send you a check via email. These are likely scams, and you should report them. We want to know about these posts so that we can remove them from the site and continue protecting people like you. And we rely on people like you to flag suspicious job postings. If you see something that seems off, we would greatly appreciate if you would click on the suspicious job posting, then scroll to the bottom of the job post, select the Report Job button, and fill out the Report This Job form. These reports help us remove spam, fraud, and low-quality postings and make Indeed a safer place for everyone. We'll talk more about how to find fraudulent postings in just a moment. Now let's move on and talk about the economy, COVID-19, and the current state of the job market. At Indeed, we have a team of economists that provide insights into what's happening in the job market and economy right now. This week, Indeed economist Daniel Culbertson shares the following. In Indeed's job postings data, we continue to see good news for the overall labor market. The job postings trend has consistently improved since May 1, when it was down 39.3% from a year earlier. However, we do see some differences when we make comparisons across industry and geography. For example, job postings in the beauty and wellness industry, typically in-person service roles, have stalled out in metro areas where COVID-19 cases are surging. Conversely, nurse and medical technician postings are increasing in metro areas facing climbing rates of COVID-19. So here's what I take from this. It perhaps goes without saying, but depending on the status of COVID-19 in your area and industry, the availability of jobs varies. That being said, overall, we're seeing improvement, which is encouraging. And if you're interested in learning more about what Daniel Culbertson has to say or what's happening right now in the U.S. and global job markets, a great resource is www.hiringlab.org. That's hiringlab.org. This is run by Indeed's team of economists. This brings us to our next topic. There are a number of reported scams related to coronavirus, and we've received a lot of questions recently about how to spot and avoid them. So our tip of the week is this. To protect yourself and your information from COVID-19 related scams, never share personal or financial information over phone, text, email, or social media. When we talk about COVID-19 scams, we're referring to coronavirus-related fraudulent activity being committed to steal money or personal information from people. According to the Federal Trade Commission, COVID-19 scams have cost more than 18,000 Americans a total of $13.44 million since the beginning of the year. While you can't plan on being the target of an attack, there are warning signs that you can look out for to stay protected. Here are some common COVID-19 scams and tips on how you can avoid them. First, let's look at job posting scams. Job posting scams were around before the coronavirus, but as the number of people experiencing job loss increases, it's even more important to be aware of how to spot fraudulent postings. A scam job posting is a solicitation for a fake employment opportunity. Many times these fake opportunities include job descriptions with details that seem too good to be true. They may offer salaries outside of the typical range for the role or offer a high hourly wage for reduced work hours. In some cases, you may receive an unprovoked contact about a job or receive a reply to your application immediately after submitting your resume online. An unsolicited contact about a job is not a red flag on its own, but in these scenarios, the interview process is expedited, often involving one short call or chat message followed by an immediate job offer. To help you evaluate the legitimacy of a job posting, start by reviewing the details like the email address and the job description. Getting an email from a suspicious email alias is one of the most common warning signs that a job opportunity might be fraudulent. Be cautious if you receive a reply to a job application or an unsolicited contact from an email address that looks similar to a corporate domain but is slightly off. A spoof domain is one that visually imitates a legitimate corporate alias using lookalike characters. For example, Indeed's alias is Indeed.com with a lowercase I, versus a potential spoofed alias that looks like Indeed.com but is written with a lowercase l at the beginning. Another tactic used to create a variation of a corporate email account that includes the company name followed by a popular email provider is an example like Indeed at Gmail or at Yahoo or at hotmail.com. It's possible for some businesses and startups to use Gmail, Yahoo, or other public domains for company communication, but consider taking a moment to check the company website to confirm that is the case. Another red flag is if you are asked to provide sensitive personal information like your driver's license or social security number during the application process. This information is not needed at this point in the job application process. As a general rule to protect yourself, never share a bank account, credit card, or sensitive personal information with a potential employer or anyone else over chat or email. Lastly, scammers may claim to offer a large payment or reward in exchange for processing financial transactions, like depositing checks or transferring money. In this scenario, the company may offer to provide you with a check to deposit that ultimately cannot be processed. Another type of scam to be aware of is related to unemployment insurance. Unemployment rates are very high at the moment. There have been improvements in the labor market since June, but there are still 17.8 million people being affected. COVID-19 unemployment insurance scams involve fake companies or a state agency impersonator offering to file and obtain unemployment benefits on your behalf. To file the claim, they could ask for your personal information and require a fee to submit. If you're seeking or receiving unemployment insurance, also called unemployment benefits, consider visiting Career One Stop at careeronestop.org. That's careeronestop.org. This is to find your state's unemployment insurance administrator and follow the instructions on how to file a claim through the secured process. When filing a claim through the website, you'll notice that there are no fees required to file, and they do not ask for credit card information or other methods of payment as part of the filing process. Receiving an unsolicited contact about filing an unemployment insurance claim is a big red flag. Legitimate unemployment insurance administrators should never call you out of the blue or contact you through social media via private message to initiate a claim. Be suspicious of any caller asking for personal information over the phone or copies of personal documents in regard to an unemployment insurance claim. In a legitimate claim filing process, you should be asked to upload your documents to a secured website. Other reports of coronavirus-related scams include Internal Revenue Service impersonators contacting people about issues related to stimulus checks, overdue payments, filing extensions, or other tax-related topics. Some people have even reported robocalls offering stock options with biotech companies developing a vaccine for COVID-19. Older Americans remain one of the largest groups targeted for scams. They may be targeted for what are commonly referred to as grandparent scams, situations where a caller poses as a relative who desperately needs money. In these scenarios, the relative may ask you to wire money or to buy a gift card and then hangs up as soon as the card number or money transfer is received. If you believe you have received a suspicious call from a relative, hang up and call the relative back at their known phone number. It's best not to take any action until you have spoken to them directly and clarified the situation. While this is not a full list of all the COVID-19 related scams being reported, there are a series of shared steps that you can take to protect yourself if you've ever been contacted about an opportunity that seems suspicious. To avoid scams in general, do not respond to calls, text messages, or emails from unknown numbers or suspicious addresses. Never share personal or financial information over email, text messages, or over the phone. Do not click any links in a text message from a number you do not recognize. If a friend sends you a text with a suspicious link that seems out of character, call them to make sure they weren't hacked. Consider adding your number to the National Do Not Call Registry at www.donotcall.gov. This is to prevent telemarketer contacts. If you think you've ever been the victim of a coronavirus scam, contact your state consumer protection office and report it to the federal government. File a report with local law enforcement if you've lost money or possessions due to a scam. So in summary, be aware of job postings that seem too good to be true. To verify the legitimacy of a posting or employer contact, review the email address and company website. Never share personal information like a driver's license number or banking information during the interview process. Unemployment rates have been decreasing as the job market started seeing improvements in June, but if you're currently enrolled in or looking to enroll in unemployment insurance, file and monitor your claim through your state administrator's secured official website. There are no fees associated with filing an unemployment claim, so be wary of companies or individuals who offer to file on your behalf for a fee. For a more detailed list of other scams to be aware of, check out the Career Guide article, Common COVID-19 Scams and how to avoid them. Now on to this week's questions. Our first question is, do I list jobs on my resume that I only held for a short period of time? I had to change jobs a few times in a short period, and I'm not sure if this will make me look bad for employers. That's a great question. You aren't ever required to list all of your job experience. You can choose which positions to highlight to employers, so there's nothing wrong in deciding to exclude certain experiences from your resume. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if something is valuable to include. But I suggest asking yourself, was I able to accomplish something in this position that showcases relevant experience or skills for the job I'm applying for? Typically, if you're in a job for a very short period of time, you might not have a significant amount of takeaways to share if an employer asks you about the job. If you don't feel you have learnings or results to show from a past job, we would normally suggest not including it on your resume. If you feel like you have something substantive to share, then include it. And I would also add that, as you know, many people have suddenly become unemployed due to COVID-19, so these days listing fewer jobs on your resume isn't very unusual. If you'd like to list a job experience that was shortened as a result of COVID, I recommend speaking about why you were hired for the role, if the employer asks. Our next question is this. It's been a week since my interview and I haven't heard back from the employer. Can I follow up? Another great question. How and when to follow up is something we're asked pretty frequently. We recommend sending a thank you email to the employer immediately after the interview. You should express your gratitude for the time and your interest in the position. Now, if you haven't heard back from the employer around a week or two after the interview, then it's perfectly appropriate to send a final check-in email asking for any updates on their process and if you could provide samples of your work. For email templates and advice on following up, check out the Indeed Career Guide article that we're going to link below. Our last question is this. I'm partway through the interview process with an employer. I'm excited about the job, but it's a new field for me, so I don't really know what to expect when it comes to salary. I generally know what they will offer me, but I don't know if it is normal for the position and industry. I don't have anyone in this field to ask about this. What do I do? Thank you very much for this question. Discussing salary with an employer is always nerve-wracking, and without industry connections or experience, it can be difficult to know if your compensation is fair or standard. Even with industry connections and experience, asking peers about salary isn't always easy or possible. However, you are absolutely right that it's important to be prepared for salary conversations with your employer. In this case, and in any case where someone is uncertain about typical salary ranges, I'd recommend checking out the Indeed salary calculator at indeed.com/career/salary-calculator. I'll repeat that. Indeed.com/career/salary-calculator. There you can anonymously enter your position, location, and years of experience to get a free personalized report on the average pay for your job. Finally, I would love to wrap up today with some good news. It can be easy to feel like there aren't job opportunities out there, but job seekers and employers are connecting every day. And when job seekers get hired, they often choose to share their stories with us. So I'm going to end by sharing a few stories from folks who were recently hired. One Indeed user wrote, "I've been out of work since the beginning of the pandemic, and I was so anxious since I ran out of money and was not getting unemployment. This job literally means I'm able to pay my bills, take care of my daughter, and provide for my family in such a difficult time. This is the second time Indeed has found me a job, and I am so grateful." Wow. Another person wrote, "Indeed alerted me to this awesome opportunity via job alerts for flooring sales in the area. I was one of the first to apply and had an edge on the other applicants. I am so happy Indeed helped me get to work in my new city." And finally, another person shared, "This job is what I needed. The schedule is perfect and my recruiter was awesome. Indeed emailed me every day with jobs that fit my schedule and skills. It means so much to me because I will be able to take care of my mom." To each of these folks, congratulations and thank you for sharing your story with us. If you are ever in need of some inspiration during your job search, check out gotajob.indeed.com. That's gotajob.indeed.com. This page shares up-to-date success stories from Indeed users around the world. And we hope that when you get hired, you will share your own too. All right, well, that's it for today's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed today's session, you can like this page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you know someone who could use this information, consider sharing it with them. All right, thanks again, and join us next week for another episode. See you soon. Bye.